Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. If you are on any of my lives, you know, I always kick it off the same way because I do always think it's so super cool that we here. Oh, sorry, hold on. Sorry. Technology, right? I I have it going on the other screen so I can see those that are on LinkedIn. I can see what's happening there. But anyway, I always kick it off the same each and every week because I think it's so super cool that we can join in from anywhere across the world and come together in one place at one time and have amazing conversations. So for those of you that don't know, I am Denise Martha Bachman. I host Caff-AI Chats. This is a weekly episode, although we did change the time today. So normally this happens an hour earlier, but we wanted Harvey on here so desperately might be a harsh term, but we were excited to have Harvey and wanted to accommodate his time request and schedule as well. So hence why we moved it to 10 a.m. So we're excited for those of you that are here. We know that I'm sure that most of you know, I talk about all things sales, AI, and humanity and how to bring them together. This right here fits under the AI wheelhouse, in which we have amazing guests every week where we talk about some of the highlights or the tech news, some of the hot topics in AI, but really get to know the guests such as Harvey, what they're doing in AI, and learn a bit more about AI, because the reality is it is not the future, it is the here and now. And by the way, it is way more than just generative AI. So enough of me and the introduction. I want to welcome Harvey. I would not do him enough justice, so I want him to share with us a little bit about who he is and, just a really quick high-level overview, and then we'll dive right into the conversation. So Harvey, there you go.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for being so patient with me. I know we've been trying to schedule this for months, so thank you. It finally happened, so I appreciate it. A little bit about me. I'm an ER doctor. I've been doing this for about 20 years. I'm proud to say that I've been a person that anytime I see any issue, I just jump right in, all in. And I'll give you two quick examples. The first one, I was coding a patient in an emergency room. There was this thing called the iPhone 1 that had come out, and I was holding. And I remember telling the nurse, hey, we're going to start this IV drip for this patient. And the nurse was like, 1 second, doc. She went and got a textbook, went through it, found the dose, verified it. And then we started. And I'm looking at her thinking, man, we got to come up with something better. And I thought, what if I create my first IV app? And I just put it out there, and it just 3 taps, boom, you got the dose for the patient. And now you're giving medication sooner. And maybe that's actually saving lives, because, literally when seconds count, it really does count. And I'm proud to say it came out. It went viral. It was in the top 10 in the world. And then fast forward, I did another 40 apps in healthcare. And then there's this thing that's called ChatGPT, and I say it lovingly. In 2022, I'm playing with it, and I was lucky in that it literally happened. It was on my computer, and I was playing with it, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to change healthcare. This is going to save lives. And I remember vividly going into talking to my wife that day, and I was like, hey, hon, I'm going to start this book. It's going to call ChatGPT in healthcare. And I'm going to tell doctors how to use this thing. And she's looking at me like I'm crazy. She's like, Chat, who? What are you talking about? And then I explain it to her, and she's like, Harvey, honey, no one's going to read your book. Like, don't do that. Like, you may embarrass yourself. And so I literally went ahead and wrote it, and I actually held it for about a week. And I thought, maybe she's right. Maybe this is wrong. I said, you know what? No, my heart's in it. My passion's there. I'm going to go ahead and push forward. So I went ahead and published. And so the skinny about me right now, I literally go around the world giving talks on this subject. Simultaneously, I have my own AI products that I create. And that's the skinny on me. Sorry, that was a little long.
No, that's okay. I love that. So, excuse me. I always share a little bit how I met those that are joining us. And interestingly enough, Harvey and I, I've been in the AI space for a bit of time, and I did not have an opportunity to really get to know him until we were in one of the same groups together. And so it's been only a short time that we have been really connected and engaging in a meaningful way where we're actually having conversation. And I am, I am so amazed. Maybe that's the best way to describe all that you've accomplished in your short life, right? Because, you know, you have really accomplished so much in the AI space and the medical area, in the medical space itself. That's where I think that having AI is such an amazing component or development that we can actually take and leverage for the sake of good, right? We talk about AI for the bad, but healthcare is where it is for the good. And you are making such strides there. And it's so super exciting to have you on here to talk about some of the things that are really bubbling up in the healthcare space and overall AI in general. So thank you again. I'm super excited. And I appreciate your introduction. So we all know that we have a little bit of fun on here, but AI is not always so super fun. So I do like to kick us off with some top news, AI news, maybe just one or two news stories. So Harvey, I know you and I were chatting and you had one that you wanted to share this morning.
Well, the one I am really stoked about, and ironically, I know it's not medical. I know you got plenty of those. I really want to talk about this, and the skinny is this. There's rumors that ChatGPT will have a feature where they'll have their own domain website, and you can, instead of doing a Google search, you're doing a ChatGPT search, and it's using generative AI, and it's going to do the best of both worlds. And I really think that's going to be a hot topic here, especially because rumors has it that they'll announce this, I believe, on Monday is when they go live. They were supposed to go this week, but they pushed it for Monday. And then Google, obviously, is their moneymaker is a lot into Google searches. And so this translates into healthcare, because if ChatGPT has a product that you can ask a question and you're not having to go through paid advertising or SEO words that are the best things that are being sold to you as a consumer, that may not be the best thing for you as a patient. And so I think this is a great transition, because the way I see it, there's already a lot of people use quote unquote Dr. Google. And now with ChatGPT being so convincing, I know patients out there using ChatGPT or Dr. ChatGPT. So those are my quick news, and then just keep an eye out on this feature that's coming.
Well, so I would like to dive into this a bit more, because we all go to Google and spend a lot of time there. And the most frustrating with Google, especially as it relates to healthcare, are two things, at least my experience. And one is that when you pull up, you put your disease state or whatever it is that you want to put into the Google search, and it pulls up two things that are frustrating, which is one, it is the worst of the worst, right? You see the worst news. It's not always credible. It's the one that most people go to. So it's ranked by the amount of people who actually go in and visit that site. So it may not be the most accurate site. And so you get all freaked out and it just seems like the whole world is caving in, and this disease state isn't even really that terrible, right? I mean, I'm just using, maybe it is, but I'm using my own experience, right? And then the other is it's a lot of paid. So the top ranking ones are either paid or they're the ones where people visit the most, which aren't always the most accurate. So what I guess my interpretation of this potentially is that we'll get away from that. We probably will move more away from that, and it'll be more accurate information that is not based on the Google search or the paid advertisements. Would that be a fair assumption? Is that the way you understand it?
Yeah, and this is why I think it's such a big topic, because there's billions of dollars at stake. Google is not going to want to go down without some kind of fight. But the problem is they make a lot of money with those ads. So how do you still do the same product and do away with the ads? So it'll be very interesting. As a geeky point here, Microsoft with their Bing, they were excited to get more market cap because of their Bing Copilot and ChatGPT features. I think they're pushing around 5%. I think they went up like 2-3%, and that was billions of dollars for them. And so now, if ChatGPT is doing the same, this is going to change things. To your point, the other thing I want to put on everyone's plate here is Google Perplexity AI, and they're doing something very similar to this. And then there's another one that's kind of rare. Not many people know about this one. It's called you.com, and it's similar things of what we're talking about. So let's see how this generates, ironically, how it's going to create these ads or not. Google has a product already like that you ask a question, you just have to turn on that beta feature on your Google, and it will generate, but then it still shows you the ads at the bottom. So I can't wait to see where we are. Literally, the space is moving so fast. In 6 months from now, will we be Googling still, or will we come up with a new term now,
Will
GPT
it be
searches or something?
GPT? Will we be chat GPT instead of Googling? Well, you know what,
Yeah.
for the sales world, when you look at chat GPT, you can have there are customized chat GPT interfaces. So it is chat GPT all the way, but there's one for 10Ks. So if you're trying to research an organization that you want to prospect into, you can pull up the 10K version, and it will just go out and search 10Ks, and it's specific to, so it'll help you get to the information a bit faster. So your prompting doesn't have to be quite as spectacular as if you had gone into the generic chat GPT UI, right? But so for the healthcare space, do we have today a specific customized healthcare chat GPT or not?
I love that you said that. In fact, I do my talk a lot, and that's one of the points. I think we need our own GPT for healthcare, but the problem with healthcare, it's so big, it's so it's so important in the sense that if it messes up, people can die. So
Yes.
we can't just take this kind of easy and say, let's just create it, because I see some unscrupulous developers out there creating using some of the APIs from ChatGPT and saying, "Oh, this is like a Dr. GPT," and advertising it. And I know the FDA will shut them down because from ethical reasons and so many issues behind it. But my point is this: we need our own AI. And I always give the following example: if I'm an ER doctor, we need a ER GPT. If I'm a plastic surgeon, we need a plastic surgeon GPT. And the reason it has to be so specific is the more specific we are, the more we can really dive into that data. And so if my favorite journal is X in ER, then we're using that. But no matter what, I'm going to go really into the weeds. No matter what I create, I'm a human being. I'm going to have bias in me. And so my data may not have enough of X population or Y population, or I may interpret it a certain way. And so I'm going to put that into the algorithm. So no matter what, the human being, us, have to be in the loop. We have to look at that information and say, okay, this is correct. This is not correct. This is bias. And that's why I'm so excited about this space, because I want to make sure we're teaching each other these little principles so that when we do play with ChatGPT or whatever is out there, we understand the core concepts of why we need to be extra careful.
Well, so we could spend an entire session just talking about healthcare, but I do want to get back to healthcare because I do think there are some amazing inventions, developments, opportunities that we have leveraging AI. But in general, one of the things that I am so fearful of is that, I'm an AI enthusiast. And I am so not because I studied AI, but very much like you, I fell into it. I was in sales, and I sold AI, machine learning, AI, and automation solutions. And the differentiator between myself and my peers or my other fellow sales reps, was that I actually understood the product. So, which meant that I had to dive pretty deep to have first, second, third line conversations without needing a software engineer. So this enthusiasm for AI was there and fostered, right? I love all the great things that AI can do. And so I'm a huge advocate for AI. However, we do realize that as great as it can be, it can also be bad. And it can be bad in two ways. I think maybe there's probably third and fourth and fifth, but in my mind, the two most prominent are, one, we tend to sometimes believe what we see. We live in this society where instead of being curious enough, we take in information and we accept information as it is rather than doing enough research on our own, which is a bit scary because we know AI is not 100% accurate yet. I think it'll get there, but it's not there yet. And the other is, not only is it potentially wrong, but there is so much room for bias. And I don't think that people understand that. When they think of AI anyway, for the most part, people think immediately Perplexity or ChatGPT or Jasper or any of those, especially those of us who are on LinkedIn, because those are the solutions we use, right? But it is so much more than just that. I mean, we're going to talk about some of that here as we talk more with Harvey about AI and healthcare, but those two factors scare the heck out of me, right? I mean,
yeah, and I agree. I'm more worried about ChatGPT than Google. When I was in medical school, I remember my attendings telling me how upset they were if somebody would come in with Dr. Google papers and saying Google told me X or Y.
Yeah.
But I never really worried because I felt like patients really understood the paperwork in the sense that they would look through it and it wasn't as convincing. It seemed very kind of third party-ish, like here's this, this, and that. And my worry specifically with ChatGPT and really any of the GPTs is it sounds so convincing. It speaks to you. It sounds correct. Even when it hallucinates, if you don't know what you don't know, you're going to believe it. And in healthcare, that really worries me because, I'm going to say an extreme case here. Say this individual reads it and says, oh my gosh, I have cancer. Or, oh my gosh, it's saying XYZ, I have this disease. And they're not being seen by a trained professional, then the emotional trauma, the psychological portion, and then to find out, no, that was wrong or that's not correct, just so many levels there. Now, I'm even more worried about people outside of the United States because they can go to the pharmacy now and they can say, you know what, Google said this and Google also said take this drug, and now they're self-medicating and it could all be wrong. And so I feel like people may die here, and I'm really honestly, sincerely worried about these individuals. And I'm glad to do this kind of talks with you so that we can kind of tell people, hey, make sure we're looking at the data, make sure you keep a human in the loop, and not just any human. Make sure you have a doctor in the loop, especially if it's your healthcare. The other portion of this is it's your privacy. If you're putting intimate information into AI, it's either being trained by it or now with this new memory feature, it's being logged into your account. And so now all of this is being recorded that this is you. And so some of that information you may not want to share with the world.
And by the way, now that you've put it out there, it's going to be shared potentially with someone in the world. I mean, so I guess for me, when I think about healthcare and I think about AI, one of the things that I go to immediately is just what you referenced, which is the privacy issue. Yes, we do know that when you Google something or you chat GPT something, some of the potential negative implications. But when we talk about just AI in general and specific to healthcare is the privacy portion of it, right? I mean, AI is really amazing. And we've got some great use cases where we're seeing AI in healthcare being used for amazing, revolutionary products and procedures and processes. But we're also seeing invasive solutions, right? Like the one where I know it's not a true healthcare, it's eye care, but it does fall under the healthcare umbrella. But the component that is you can now put in your retina, right, or your eye, and it enables you to see much more than you've ever seen before. But to me, that seems so invasive because now they are learning some of your habits and the things that are functioning within your body, and that information's going somewhere. It may not be physically located on a laptop, but it's in the cloud somewhere, right? Someone has access to that information, and that's scary to me.
Yeah, it's getting very scary because we've all have had our conversations with an Alexa around us, and then all of a sudden we see an ad on our phone. It's like, wait a second, I was just talking about this, and it's on my phone. How'd that happen? Could you imagine the power of this conversation? I mean, I'm going to show you some things right now. This camera that I'm using, if I attach the correct algorithm to it, I could do the following. You could see how old I am. You could see my sugar level, what my sugar levels have been for the last 3 months, my blood pressure. But not only that, you could upload this video and get the sentiment of what I was thinking. Was I bored? Was I upset? Was I angry? Maybe it didn't come across in the camera, but the algorithm is picking up on subtle cues. My voice, even if we turn off the camera and we just use the audio, all that technology already exists. And so imagine in a world that this isn't, let's just say, we're doing sales, and say you have that algorithm in the background and you say something to me and you may not pick up on it, but the algorithm says, no, he didn't like that, or he would not this. And then there's algorithms, and I've seen it already, that can tell you my personality and if I would say yes or no to you. And so now you can really manipulate this whole video conversation and on your end to say, okay, he liked that, he didn't like this, let me pivot to this. Okay, I didn't know that. If we're negotiating, all of that already exists. And so for many ethical reasons, I think this is wrong. We need to make sure we're transparent if we're doing these tools. I see already some companies tagging this to Zoom meetings so that the other party would have this information, but this is just kind of crazy. I don't know if you knew about half of those things.
I did, only because I sold AI, right? And so I used to set the things that I knew. This is what I feel. So there's a lot to unpack there. Like my mind is racing a million miles a minute right now. So, but when we think about it, most people think that AI just released, in 21, right? In November of 21, when Chat GPT released. But the reality is it's been around since even as early as 1956. I think in 56, it was MIT, IBM, and I can't remember who the third partner was, but they had already started working on AI technologies at that time. So it's been around for a long time. It just seems like that it's so new because of the release of ChatGPT, when it was really then released out to the masses. But and the reason why I say that is because we had already, we've had AI since 1956, or the first instance of AI. That's when they started, generating some AI technologies or interest around it. It's actually been in evolution for quite some time. And so when I was selling AI, if you knew the use cases that people were leveraging it for, I mean, the government's been using AI for a long time. And if you knew how they were using it, or anyone else for that matter, I mean, you would just be flabbergasted. I mean, very much like the example you provided. It's not something that's just been around here in the last 2 or 3 years. It's been around for a long time. It's evolved. It can do a lot. Sentiment. I mean, I was selling solutions that when you would chat with someone, it was potentially, you thought it was a human way back when, and it actually wasn't, right? So we were beyond the chat bot. The original chat bot was, by keywords, but the new virtual assistants were by phrases, key phrases, not just keywords, but key phrases, could look at sentiment, could distinguish then actionable next steps, right? Because of your sentiment or key phrasing. I mean, it's just amazing at some of the things that we can do with AI, that you're right. If we aren't educating everyone, and that's why I think these conversations like this are so important. I think the more that we are engaging in conversation, even if we are just an active listener as a participant, the more we are engaged in these types of conversations, the more aware we become. And the more aware we become, then of course, the more knowledgeable, and the more knowledgeable, the more we can potentially affect change.
Agreed. So much to unpack, so much here. And I agree. I'm a big teacher. I think we need to teach each other. I'm always learning. No human being on earth is they can honestly say they're an expert, because this is so new and this is growing so fast exponentially that there's no way. I've tried to carve out the healthcare portion because I understand it really well, but even then it's overwhelming because it's so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally working on a PowerPoint presentation to present for a pharmaceutical company, or pharmaceutical conference rather. And there's just so much. I'm going through, I'm like, I don't know where to stop my slides. It's just so much information to talk about.
Well, so for those of us who are watching, or whether you're on Team Live or Team Replay, for those of us who are watching and we're interested in AI and healthcare, or we are just, maybe we're not necessarily interested, but we're inundated with so much of this type of information, right? We don't know really how to decipher. If you are just a regular person who is just managing their own healthcare, and you've got all this noise and chaos happening with all these new technologies, where do you tell someone, or where do you recommend that they start?
It's going to be a hard answer, because depending on your preference, I'm going to tell you that's where you should go. Some of us enjoy YouTube. Some of us love podcasts. Some of us like our traditional newspapers. My thing is, no matter what you do, I'm going to say find the spectrum of different people, because you want the different voices, so you can see a conservative view and a liberal view, so that you can see both sides. That way you're getting as much facts as possible. Biasly, I'm going to say you should follow me, because I do a lot of posts literally every day, and anything that comes out, I try to show the healthcare spin on it. But with that said, what I do personally is I literally go on YouTube, I click the AI tab, and then I see what's there and what's the most viewed items. The other thing is lately I've been using Perplexity a lot more than I usually do, just looking at their ads and their podcasts. And then as far as papers, I'm not really reading too many newspapers, but I'll go back to Google and I'll look at Google News and see what they're sending me. And it's always usually like Bloomberg or Harvard Journal, depending on my interest. But at the end of the day, it's just about being a life learner. It's not, don't look at it as like, I need to get to X level. No, just look at it as I'm a life learner. I'm here to learn. And the more you learn, the more you'll be improved at that area. I call it the AI shift in work. We all are going to be affected by AI. So the more we understand AI and its limitations and how we can leverage, then that's the key words. How can I leverage AI to do more? I got to go back and count how many books, but I want to say I'm around either 18 or 20 books in the last 2 years-ish. But it's all because I'm leveraging AI. And I'm not using AI to write the books. I'm leveraging. Let me give you a quick example. Every time I write a book, I created my own GPT that's outside of ChatGPT, that is my own private server, and I upload all the interviews. I'll probably upload this interview, a podcast, blogs, books, and what I do is the following. I put it there, and then if I'm writing another book or I'm posting or blogging about something, I literally ask my digital twin, myself, to say, hey, there's this topic, here it is, and then it'll go through all my prior books, all my ethical questions, every single thing that I've wrote, and then it'll extract and give me examples of what I've already said in certain points. I mean, how powerful is that?
That's
And
amazing.
so I could create content quicker. I can write books faster. Case in point, I wrote the first book on the Apple Vision Pro in healthcare, but I was able to leverage all my prior books and then those core principles and some of those examples and then expand them on the VR world. And so that's my point. It's how can you leverage technology today to make your workflow better, to be more efficient? And if you're competing against XYZ, this is going to give you that competitive advantage.
Well, so most of us are not developers, right? And so how do we, if we, to be able to leverage chat GPT in a way that is truly beneficial to us, like you just, and adds value, like you just provided an example of, which I think is an amazing example. How do we create our own chat GPT with our own server? How do we go about doing that? Is there a simple way to do that?
Oh yeah, I'm actually working on some solution SaaS models to be able to do it. But let me give you examples, something that everybody can do today. Obviously, there's ChatGPT and it's free, but you get what you pay for. So it's not the latest and greatest. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it is there. Now, for 20 bucks a month, again, I don't own any shares in any of these companies. I'm just sharing as a friend. You can get into ChatGPT, and I'm going to highly encourage everybody to create their own GPT. What does that mean? It's kind of like what I just gave an example, but now you're putting it into GPT server. So now here's the warning. If you do upload anything, make sure that it's your content, not your company's content, anything like that, because you might be violating your intellectual property. Quick example, Samsung was working on a code. The developer got stuck in the middle of the night, uploaded Samsung intellectual property to ChatGPT to help with the code, got it and submitted it, and then realized, oh my gosh, I just gave Samsung's intellectual property to ChatGPT. So I want to make sure that you're not doing that. How would I use it if I were you? Look at what you're doing often. If you're doing, let's say it's sales or emails, then create your own GPT that goes through it. Now, if you don't want to reinvent the wheel, GPT already has thousands of other people doing this. And so let's pretend you're doing LinkedIn posts. You can go on GPT and see anyone else that's doing LinkedIn posts and then try out the different GPTs. And then it's all about customization to you. So now that once you see how it works, you're like, let me do my voice. And then you can literally upload some of your prior works of, let's just say LinkedIn. And now it understands how you speak, your tone, your examples. And then when you ask it to help you make content, it's going to use that as an example. And then the other part to this is they just added this thing called memory. And so the more you're using it, the more of your personality it gets. I was kind of in a rush to get it to know me quicker. So I uploaded my CV, I uploaded the book titles of all the stuff I've done, my positions, my LinkedIn profile. And now when I have a conversation with ChatGPT, it's a little bit deeper because it knows I'm a doctor, knows my background. So this is all simple tips that you could do today.
Love. And, I am so super excited that they have memory, because in the past I would put something in there and I'd have to go back and find a prompt, a session that I'd had, and go back and copy and paste it. So I'd have to go through I mean, it would spend me a bit. I would spend a bit of time. It would take me a bit of time. I can't even speak today. It would take me a bit of time to go find that original prompt that I'd given, copy and paste that, put that in there with information about me. So I'd have to educate it almost every single time, unless I went to an old prompt and just continued to use that as part of my conversation flow. And then it would obviously from that prompt remember everything. But man, oh man, I'm super excited about the memory aspect of it. Like you, I don't use it to write my stuff for me, but I use it most certainly for an idea generator. 100%.
Oh, yeah. And it's like riding a bike. The more we come to these sessions, the more we talk to others, the more we learn about these different, hacks or different ways of using it. And the other part to this is it's all our creativity. It's all individual in the sense that Denise, you're gonna get a different output than I would, and then people in the crowd, because it's our personality, how we ask the questions, how we formulate the follow-up. We're really gonna extract how we even use it. Like there's examples that I use it. Where's my plushie? I have this little plushie here, and it basically has ChatGPT on it ish, and I can have a conversation with it. I'm coming up with a prototype for children so that when I'm discharging a child, how can I use this device to help them understand their disease process? And so it's my creativity of like, how can this work? How can I do more for my patients, for humanity? And that's exactly what it comes for you guys. You guys all have your years of experience that you've done X or Y, and then taking that plus AI, it's going to give you something more. My big thing that I say all the time, at least once a week on LinkedIn, I say, human plus AI is going to beat the best human, and it's going to beat the best AI out there, because it's combined together. You're going to get way better output.
Well, and I always say it's not going to be AI that surpasses us or that is the differentiator. It's going to be the human that's leveraging AI in a way that they are working together as a team and partnering together. That's going to be the differentiator. That's going to be what helps you to be more successful than the next person these days.
Exactly.
And just want to make sure I add, I am sorry, for some reason I have LinkedIn open so I can see, but it wasn't showing me comments. And I was so entrenched in the conversation that I had a different tab in StreamYard open. So I did not see everyone's comments. So I'm a little bit late to the game in showing, in acknowledging people who are actually having conversation with us, and know that I'm not seeing it right now in the LinkedIn version. So I will come back and engage with you guys in the comments. I appreciate everyone being out there. If you have any questions for Harvey right now, you can drop them in the comments, and I am now paying attention. I will look and make sure that we cover your questions. But in the meantime, let's talk about some of the things you are doing in AI. You mentioned you've already got, what, 2 or 3 companies?
Yeah, I have several companies and I'm advising for several. The one I have to brag about, and I hate saying the word brag, that I'm really proud to announce and say is that the country of Singapore added me as an advisor for the country of Singapore. So now I'm sitting at the Ministry of Health. I have a meeting with them, I think it's next week, and then I'll physically be in Singapore. And the part that makes me really excited, where my heart just like comes out, is that I'm able to leverage AI, my experience of ER and AI, and then be able to advise the country on what I think, how things should change, how can we improve patient care. And I'm hoping that some of those things get announced and go public. And then when that does, that the United States are like, whoa, we could do this in our country. And so at the end of the day, it's not about me as an individual. It's about us as a society to help each other and leverage this and save people's lives and really help. And I know I sound too passionate about this stuff, but as an ER doctor, I'm just so excited about healthcare, and I really want to help people. That's why I became a doctor. And I really want to see how can we leverage these tools to give out even better healthcare.
I love that. Well, so tell me then, with all this passion and excitement, we know that Singapore is super exciting for you, and now that you're on the board of the ministry, but what are some of the most recent tech advances that you've seen that are impacting healthcare the most, that you're probably the most excited about?
Yeah, that's a hard one. But I've seen some
Because there's a ton of them, right?
Yeah. But the ones that have like kind of blew up my mind and I thought, man, that's cool. When the Apple Vision Pro came out, obviously people have been using VR forever, but then to see this in neurosurgery and see this in general surgery where they're putting up on the Apple Vision Pro and able to see now in 3D the x-rays of the patient, the CT, the labs, and then be able to do surgery. And then, you know, those little glasses that we see some of the surgeons wear where they're kind of blowing up the field, but to be able to wear this, and now those glasses are making it humongous so that they can really see the field. I just think that, wow, what a way of leveraging technology and saving lives. As an ER doctor, I'm going to go a quick example. Literally, when seconds count, I know I may look silly in the emergency room, but if I have this on and in real time, I'm able to see your labs, your x-rays, and I'm taking care of you. Now I don't have to change my workflow, meaning I don't have to go out to the hallway and find a certain computer to be able to log in to see your x-ray or walk over to this computer station to see your lab. It's literally there. And then to be transparent with my patients, what if I turned this on and mirrored everything I see in the patient room? And so obviously if it's your data, it's your lab, your x-ray, I'm sharing it with you in real time instead of dragging you to another room or bringing in a computer. Now it's there. What an amazing ability to give you healthcare. The other quick example is there's just tons of data. And so if I've never seen you before and you say, hey, doc, take a look at my records, now being able to use AI to just give me the summary of all the last visits, all your last x-rays, and literally in seconds, how exciting to be able to do that. I mean, for me as a provider, sorry, as a healthcare professional, that'd be amazing. There's so many doctors that just want to quit. There's so many nurses that are like, I am done with this. This workflow is horrible. But to see AI creating general summaries, better handoffs, things that are the pain points for us, and being able to leverage AI to improve our care. And now hopefully some of my nurses and colleagues won't retire because as it is, we don't have enough healthcare professionals.
We don't. And it is becoming more frustrating to see the amount of doctors who are themselves so frustrated that while they may not be quitting, you can see their unhappiness or their frustration. And I think providing them tools like this makes life a lot easier, not only for them, but also for us. Because, you know, when we walk into a healthcare provider and they give us a diagnosis, but they haven't taken into account all the other things because, oh, by the way, I forgot to share those other things, or they're moving so fast because, again, they're not in the right headspace because, you know, why would they be? Life is crazy as a doctor these days. You know, they don't have enough information. And so they give you a diagnosis that may not be a true diagnosis because they didn't have all the other information that either they didn't have time to look for, or you didn't have time or the ability to share with them, right? So giving them more information so that they can get more accurate diagnoses. So then when we walk out, we know we can solve to a problem sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you gave me a quick thought, and I want to share this real quick, and then we'll answer that question.
Yes.
From Nikki, and I'm sorry, from Nicole.
Yeah,
and I was reading, and then I remember, and then that's perfect.
yes.
So this is really heartfelt. About a year ago-ish, I read this article about this poor mom whom was taking care of their child. And the mom, the child basically was telling mom, like, my leg is killing me. The mother took the child to about 17 doctors over 3 years, and no one could figure out what was wrong with this child. And I get goosebumps still thinking about it. And then the mom took that information, put it into ChatGPT, all the prior summaries, the X-rays, everything that she had in text. And ChatGPT said, I think this is tethered cord syndrome. And so then the mom took that diagnosis, went to the neurosurgeon and say, hey, this is what ChatGPT is telling me. And they went back and looked through all the films carefully and said, you know what? We missed it. Yes, that's what it is.
That just gave me chills.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, I had to share that story. And then I just dropped a link in LinkedIn, and thank you for sharing it. This is to answer Nikki's questions. You know, what apps are out there? I literally created a nice little LinkedIn group. Everybody's welcome to join. And it's just an Apple Vision Pro plus healthcare. And what I try to do is any news, anything that's out there, I post there. Any different videos, medical issues, I put it there. But it's all AI. I'm sorry, it's all Apple Vision Pro and healthcare. So we have about 800 members-ish. And so feel free to come and join us. It's pretty cool. Any like surgeries that I've seen that are really neat or anything that they're using the Apple Vision Pro in healthcare, I'm constantly posting there.
That's awesome. That's one thing I need to get better at, is actually going in and spending some time in the groups, because there's a wealth of information there by a wealth of varied experts. And so, I think we all need to do a better job of getting to groups. So be sure to go check out this group down here. And, we've had some great people out in the audience listening to us. Nikki, thank you for your question. And I hope that you can find the answer in the groups. If not, we all know Harvey, or Nikki and I at least know Harvey. We can reach out to Harvey directly. For those of you that will talk about how to connect with him later at the end, and we're getting close to that. So I want to just recognize a few more people who are out in the audience. Anand is out there, Vivek. We've got Dan Goodwin is out there. Cello is out here. I don't know who else. We've got quite a few others who've been joining. So we have a few more minutes. I know people are slowly adding their own content, their own comments down below. Be sure to let us know if you have any questions, because we're starting to wind it up slowly. But when we talk about before we start to dwindle it down, if you were to maybe share one thing that you think was the most valuable for people to take away from as it relates to AI and healthcare, what would that be today?
The one thing is, make sure you keep a healthcare professional in the loop, no matter what output, especially if it has to do with your health. I would hate for ChatGPT to be wrong. And let's just pretend it's so good that it's only wrong 1% of the time. I would hate for you to have that 1% chance that it's wrong. It's because, again, it's your health, and there's a lot of issues here, and I want to make sure you're safe. So the one thing is, make sure we have a healthcare in the loop, and then use it. But then let's use it for good, in the sense that before you see your doctor the next time, obviously don't put your personal information or HIPAA stuff, but why not ask ChatGPT to help you come up with the best questions to ask your healthcare provider? We only get 13 minutes with our doctors. That's the average time. So why not come to the office with those questions ready to go? You know that when you go see your physician, he or she spends 3-4 minutes just saying hi and covering stuff, and you waste time, in the sense that you're here to speak to the expert. You're here to answer everything. So come with your questions ready to go.
So there was a lot. I love that, because there was a lot that we got out of that, and just our whole conversation. And when we talk about ChatGPT and AI in general, a few things that I would leave as a takeaway. One is, AI is so much more than just ChatGPT. But if we're leveraging ChatGPT, let's leverage it in a way that we use it for information, and that we don't just take in that information, but we also validate it. And when we are going to visit our healthcare provider, that when we go in and ask ChatGPT for the questions that we might be able to ask, or maybe we put input information about us to potentially give us a potential diagnosis. Because wow, the story that you told us about the woman who spent 3 years going back and forth to various different doctors, and then she put the information in ChatGPT. There are ways in which we can leverage ChatGPT for the good when we are engaging with a healthcare provider, and we are validating our information. And so I love all that we had here to talk about. There's so much more that we could unpack. I'd love to have us come together at a later date as well and talk about more as it relates to AI and healthcare, because I do think that we're going to see more evolutionary products, processes, technologies being released over the course of the next 6-12 months. But something interesting is that Harvey is actually going to be on another live that I have coming up. So stay tuned for that. He'll be visiting us on the Blue TV. So I'm super excited to have him there as well. And you'll learn a bit more about Blue TV when he actually gets there. So stay tuned. I'll try to drop the date. We have the date somewhere. So I'll try to drop the date in the comments below. So if you haven't gotten enough of him, there are opportunities with which you can engage with him. One is, he provided you the link already to the group that he has created, where you can talk about Apple Vision and healthcare. So you can go there. You can also be sure to check him out on the Blue TV episode. I'll put the date. I don't have the episode created yet on LinkedIn nor in StreamYard, but I will most certainly at least get you the date there. So you can go plan to be there for that as well. Also, you can follow him or connect with him, as you saw in the comments below. But Harvey, how else can we engage with you, or where else might we find you?
Yeah, thank you for everything. And you can go on my website. It's Harvey Castro MD, as in medicaldoctor.com. Or if you have other social media that you enjoy using, I'm on all the major networks. And you can literally just put / Harvey Castro MD, and I'm on all of them. And then the last thing I want to add is two kind of fun things. In about 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to have a widget on my website that feature that I said I use personally, I'm going to put it out publicly. So anybody that has a question on AI in healthcare, be like, oh, what does Harvey have to say about this? They can go on there. If I'm not trying to self-promote my books, but if you want to look at any of my books, just go on Amazon and just type in Harvey Castro, and then you'll see the different ones. Ironically, one of the ones that I'm really stoked about is I did one on TED Talks and AI, and it's the top 54 AI talks and through TED Talks. And so that should be coming out hopefully by next week or late or over the weekend, hopefully. So exciting.
Awesome. Lots of exciting news, not just about AI and healthcare, but also all things Harvey Castro. So he can be found almost anywhere. But if you don't know where to start, just drop your questions, whether you're in Team Live or Team Replay, and we'll come back. Just tag Harvey and one of us will come back and we'll engage with you in the comments. I want to thank everyone for being here. We're usually here every Wednesday at 9 a.m. So for those of you who are out there with our time change, we thank you for being here. We have opportunities like this where we do get to change the time so we can accommodate those who are joining us. We're super excited. Caff-AI Chats every Wednesday, 9 a.m., where we talk about all things related to AI. And today we had an opportunity to not only get to know Harvey a bit more, but talk about AI and healthcare, which we know are making such huge strides in health. AI is making such huge strides in healthcare today. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll see more of Harvey in Caff-AI Chats. We also have him coming out and visiting us in the Blue TV episodes coming update with a date coming soon. I'll let you guys know. Otherwise, we'll see you guys here next week, Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time. Happy hump day, and go make the best of your day today.
Have a good day. Thanks.
Well done, everyone. Hanging on.